Hello everyone. So in this video we'll be discussing about the scattering of light. So it is one of the phenomenon of light. So previously we have discussed about the various phenomena of light, and here we will be discussing about this one. So what is scattering of light? So scattering of light means the particles that are present in the air or anywhere, may be present in the water, may be present at any substance. The particle means any particle. When a light ray travels and it hits the particles, the light ray scattered in different direction. So here you can see the incident ray, the light ray which is coming in this direction, when hits a particle. So the size of the particle should be like a little bigger, not like very small particle. So when the particle is this much of size that it is enough to scatter the light, so what will happen? The light will be deflected or scattered in different directions. So this is known as scattering of light. Okay, very simple. So based on this one, so this scattering of light can be demonstrated with the help of a very famous experiment, and it is known as Tyndall effect. Probably you have learned about this in class 9. So John Tyndall, one scientist, was there. So first it was in the early 19th century, Michael Faraday observed this thing in colloidal solution, and it was experimentally developed by John Tyndall, and based on his name, the experiment has got the name of Tyndall effect. Famously it is known as Tyndall effect. So what happens in this one? So it demonstrates the scattering of light and the phenomenon of scattering of light. So if we take a glass of clean water, so if we take a clean glass of water, clean water, and if we pass a ray of light, what happens? A beam of light or ray of light, what happens? The light will enter from this side and it will pass from this side, but inside the water we will not be able to see any kind of traces of the beam or the ray of light. So the beam of the light or the ray of the light cannot be seen inside the water because the particles of the water is too small that it cannot scatter the light. But similarly, what happens when we mix little milk to water and we make a solution of colloid, that milk and water solution, and it is known as colloidal solution. In class 9 we have learned what is colloidal and what is suspension and what is, so we will not go into that concept. We'll just see when we mix little amount of water into little amount of milk into water, and when we pass the light from one end of the beaker or glass to the other end, what happens? The light ray can be seen, or the beam of light can be seen in throughout the solution. Why it happens? Because the particles of the colloid or the particle of this solution is big enough that it can scatter the light, and light can be seen throughout the solution. So this effect is known as Tyndall effect. Similar Tyndall effect can be seen at our home. So when in the morning the sunlight enters through the ventilation or through any small hole, and if dust particles are there inside the room, we can see a ray of light. But if there is no dust particle, we cannot see the ray of light. So the dust particle is scatters the light ray, and the light ray becomes visible to our eye. We see a trace or a path of light because of the dust particles, because the dust particles scatters the light, and the light enters our eye and we can see the path of light. So similarly here you can see, if we take a clean water, when we pass a laser light, the light cannot be seen throughout this one. But similarly when we take a solution of colloid, the particle size of the particles little larger than the particle of water, then the light ray can be seen, or the beam or the laser light can be seen throughout the solution. This is Tyndall effect. Similarly here also you can see, in clean water, pure water, light beam not visible when it is passed from one side to another side, but colloidal solution light beam is visible. Here the light beam is visible because of these particles. The larger particles scatters the light, and the light enters our eye and we can see a path of light. So based on this concept, we have a very interesting question: why the color of the sky is blue? So this is the question. So here if we answer this, the answer is that because of scattering of light. So light ray, we know that the white light that comes from the sun consists of 7 different colors. What are these? Blue, in violet, indigo, blue, and this green, yellow, orange and red. So these 7 colors are there, Bibgeur, famously known as Bibgeur. These 7 different colors are there in our white light. So these 7 different colors have different wavelengths. If you see here, you can see these 7 different colors are there: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. So they have different wavelength. So what is wavelength? In class 9 we have learned that light is wave in nature, and it has waves. So the length between two successive waves is known as wavelength. That one we have learned in class 9. So the red one has the highest wavelength and the violet one has the least or the smallest wavelength. So the wavelength increases as we go from violet to red. So this violet, indigo and blue has less wavelength, and they are scattered most by the particles present in the atmosphere. So in the atmosphere we have carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen and other gases, and then along with that one we have dust particles and other so many some particles are there, and those particles does what? They scatters the light of smaller wavelengths. So smaller wavelengths means violet, indigo, blue and all these smaller wavelengths light is scattered by these particles, and these particles the light, this light, that violet, indigo and blue, they scatters in throughout the sky, and we can see a blue colored sky. Actually the color of the sky is not blue, it is black. So but because of this scattering of light, the sky appears to us as blue, and the color of these green, yellow, orange and red, they mix and they have the higher wavelength, and they are scattered least by the particles present in the atmosphere, and they travel to our eye, and we see the color of the sun is orange or yellow in color. This is a mixture of these 3 colors or these 4 colors, and these 3 colors are scattered because their wavelength is less, and they are scattered by the small particles in the atmosphere, and they spread throughout the sky, and it appears that the color of the sky is blue. So here you can see the sun is here and the person is standing here, and the scatter these 3 colors are scattered. The light with less wavelength or lower wavelength is scattered by the particles, and it appears to, and it reaches to our eye, and we see the color of the sky is blue. And the person who is standing far, they don't, and they appear, and for them it appears like a reddish, because the small ones get lost in the in traveling, and only the light ray which has a higher wavelength, they reach to the person who is standing far away from the sun, and for them it appears red. About that we will be going in the next part. So here you can see the color of the sunrise and sunset. So during the color of the sunrise and sunset, during that time what happens? The sky as well as the sun appears reddish to us. Why it happens? Because the light has to travel long distance in compared to the afternoon. In the afternoon what happens? The distance from the person standing on the surface of the earth and the sun is less in compared to the sun at the horizon. So when the sun at the horizon, the distance is more and the light has to travel far distance. But as we have already learned that the light with less lower wavelength is scattered most, and the light with a higher wavelength scattered least. So the sun, the red light has can travel far distance as it is scattered less, and it travels from the sun to the human eye without getting scattered on the way. So it appears reddish to our eye. So similarly, by using this concept, the danger signals are kept in red. So you have seen in the traffic lights or in the railway station that the danger signals are kept in red color, because the red color is scattered least by the atmospheric particles, and it can travel or it can reach to the far distance, and it can be seen from long distances. So all about this scattering of light. I hope you understood well, and thank you for watching the video.